Well, hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Upstart 2014. Thank you for coming. As Don mentioned, we are CMD prototyping, and I guess I'll wait till our presentation is up, though it's counting down. Okay. We are CMD prototyping. So to introduce, my name is Daryl Dominic.
Jordan Caldwell.
Joshua Martin.
And we are a rapid prototyping, that's not us. There we go. And we are a rapid prototyping and development company. So, straight to the basics, what's the problem? Well, I hope many of you here are entrepreneurs or into small businesses, and you have plenty of ideas. And you see there's a lot of difficulty in bringing ideas, especially products, to market. For example, there's the speed to market approach. It takes a long time to bring something all the way there. There's having to sell this idea to investors, trying to make people part with their money on the basis and the hope that you have something worth it. And then, of course, there's the cost of entrance and manufacturing and actually getting this made. Because it turns out cutting down aluminum in order to mold and create tons of products actually costs a lot of money most of us don't have. So we like to approach the small businesses in this sector to actually achieve this by way of simply working with them and developing from the start. The second market is industry. So these are companies that are big enough that are making steady money off their current existing product line, but are still looking into ways of expanding and possible new products. But they can't afford to sink the money into dedicated and expensive R&D teams. And not only that, there's often a lack of communication between design firms and these companies. The way it currently works is basically you give them a basic idea of what you want. 6 months later, they come back and give it to you, and it's nothing like what you imagined. So everyone's time is wasted, everyone's money is wasted, and overall it's just not the pretty picture.
The question then is there a market for this? Is there a reason for people to pay for it, and are there people out there with the money to pay for it? The majority of small business, or the majority of business rather, in Ontario is small business. And you can see up there, 14.6 billion was spent on R&D. So there are huge companies that have their own dedicated R&D departments, but most companies do an iterative process regardless. And if they can't afford it to do it themselves, they have to find somebody else to do it for them.
All right, so a value proposition. This is a short statement that answers the key questions for a company very quickly and just gets the idea out there. So the four main questions are, who do we sell to? What is our company? Why do we do it? And how do we do it? In our case, we provide rapid prototyping and design services to individuals and small companies using an iterative process, allowing them to sell their products more quickly and at low cost. Now, it turns out that we actually sell to two types of audience, two types of clients, as Daryl mentioned earlier. So we have two value propositions. This is our first one. This basically means that we talk to people, we see what their ideas are, and we help them develop it to a point so that they can sell it later on. Our second one, when we deal with slightly larger clients and industrial companies, is that we offer rapid prototyping and design services to industrial corporations while streamlining their product development cycle and providing constant updates using an online client login. So with bigger industrial companies, the bigger factor is time. Money is an issue, but time is really what gets to them. So we provide feedback very, very quickly using a client login that we developed on our site, and we can get new iterations out there very quickly. So why would you pick CMD as opposed to any of the other industrial design companies out there? First of all, we offer a single contract upfront process. So we meet with our clients, we see what their needs are, we do a consultation with them for free, and then the next time we meet with them, we provide them a quote with all the items that they need. So all of the hours that they'll use, all the materials. Everybody knows how much it's going to cost before we start the project. Secondly, we provide industry standard models and drawings. So you take whatever we give you, and anyone in the industry can open the files and use it properly. Third, we produce actual prototypes. So we provide files and drawings, but we also make things. We have access to the 3D printers, and we can get out there very quickly with that. Last one is the client login, which is useful for smaller clients and bigger clients as well.
So here's a representation of how we plan to go to market based on our experience over the last about 8 months that we've been in business. We've seen a lot of business come through NORCAT, and so expanding through additional regional innovation centers in North Bay, the Soo, Thunder Bay, Toronto as well. That allows us to target the markets in that area through an avenue that they already know how to communicate their ideas through. The second one that we found through speaking with some of the professors at Laurentian is that a professor doing research is encouraged to produce papers but not patents. So when he has an idea that revolutionizes how he does things, he needs a low-cost way of getting to that. So these blue dots represent smaller universities. We have the Laurentian location, Laurentian and Barrie, Nipissing, Lakehead and Thunder Bay. So the whole idea is those that do have the ideas can be brought to a place where they can then continue with them. So here's just a representation of what our competitors in the segment are. There's 573 industrial design firms in Ontario. Now, that number is a little bit deceiving because, as you can see, 198 of them are actually what most people would consider companies. The rest of them are just consultants, individuals who will work for a company. And 130 of them are service-based, so they don't produce a product, they don't have a patent, they do quite along the same lines as we do. The 27 having similar services is through from basic design to a final prototype, something that they can go and get investment money with. Finally, 9 is a customer-centric approach. What we mean there is our login on our website, basically looking into the other companies that do what we do. Some of them didn't have websites, some of them had really hard to find websites, and some of them didn't make communication with them very available. And the most important number is that there aren't any in Northern Ontario. The majority of them are functioning out of Ottawa, out of Toronto, or the Greater Toronto area.
So, as mentioned, we are a service-based company. We take your idea from the start. We work with you in order to develop it to something you want, which means the most important part is ourselves. We are selling you on our services. So I'll introduce our team in a little more detail. To the left there is Josh Martin, who has just graduated mechanical engineer out of Laurentian University with one of the most impressive GPAs I've ever seen in the program. In the middle, we have Mr. Jordan Caldwell, who is brilliant financially, brilliant with a business mind, and has such an odd way of tying everything together that no matter what our problem is, we always seem to make it work. And finally, there's myself, which seems awkward to talk about, so I'll let one of the others say.
All right, so as you might know or might have read in the paper, seen on the news, Daryl was a speaker at TEDx just a couple of weeks ago. He talked about how arts and science should be melded together into a more unified approach. He's also one of the most creative people I've ever met. He plays guitar, loves to draw, has a blog. He is really an inspiration to anyone who wants to do both technical and creative things.
So basically, we try and all work together to come up with the best possible solution by the end of the process. Second to that, there's also our partners. Here at NORCAT, we work very closely with the Innovation Mill. We find a lot of people come to NORCAT with ideas and things they're looking to push forward. And even more lately than before, we've found ourselves being put in touch with these people to help get these things going. We also work very closely with Laurentian University. As Jordan mentioned, professors often have an idea or something they find in their research, and they have to try and get this to market. Beyond that, we've also found ourselves working with a student group who just had a business venture project that they decided they actually wanted to make. So they came to us, they got it designed, and then they were able to find manufacturing processes to finally get these things to market. And the last one is the next step. What do we do when we need to expand? Because there are only 3 of us, and our time is not unlimited. Well, since we need people with decent design skills, decent CAD skills, and education in the area of design, but we still want them to be creative, we found one of the best approaches to this to actually be 2nd or 3rd year co-op students from Laurentian. Now this goes 2-part. They are not fully educated enough to the point where they're looking to do basically sitting at a desk filling out certain forms of paperwork and hard equations the entire time. They want to make stuff with their newfound skills. And because they're co-op students, it's actually possible to find funding for up to 75% of their wages. And then extending from that, industrial and graphic designers that we meet and encounter across the road that fit well into our plans. So finally, here's our finances, which is the slide I'm sure you all want to see. We managed to keep our asset costs fairly low by working closely with Laurentian University and NORCAT here. We have access to 3D printers that we simply work with on a contract basis. And software-wise, we actually own our own software currently. And we are looking to buy SOLIDWORKS as well in the near future, which would represent our biggest upfront cost. Besides that, these are projected from other industrial design companies around the area. So we've been CMD prototyping. I'm not sure what our time is because we lost 30 seconds at the start. We hope to help you design the future together, and we hope to talk to every single one of you afterwards. I hope you all have ideas. Thank you.
Well done, gentlemen. Well done.
Thank you.
I got to tell you that I'm sure you felt a little bit of nervousness getting up there, but congratulations. Well done. Prepared. Just very quick question in my mind is we're talking about the successful individual is going to get $5,000. Any idea, particularly, somebody can express what they're going to do with that $5,000?
Okay. Well, as I mentioned, one of the next things we want to purchase is software called SolidWorks, which is one of the more industrial standards in terms of 3D design and that form of software. Currently, we own one called SpaceClaim, which works very similar. They liken it to Play-Doh compared to SolidWorks Lego. But really, if you're looking to be in an industry like this, having both is a huge asset. So the license for that costs an estimated $4,200?
Yeah.
Estimated $4,200, so the majority would probably go straight to that.
Okay, thank you.
You're a very articulate young group. Very nice to hear. I noticed that the 5,000 wasn't in there as revenue, so that was, you didn't want to be...
That is an error on our part. We're very humble people.
I'm just kidding.
We didn't want to
Actually,
presume
When I
anything.
listened to the three of you, we saw the Steve Jobs movie last weekend. You know, I'm wondering which one of you was Steve Jobs in this equation, but...
I think collectively,
collectively you
we unite.
Our company is
Now-
very much a whole person.
When you talk about patents, to get serious then for a minute, have you applied for any patents?
No, we take the approach of signing NDAs up front with all our clients. We don't intend upon retaining any patent. It's strictly a service-based company. So if somebody comes to us with an idea, it's their idea at the beginning, it's their idea at the end. We don't take any part of a patent or a royalty or anything like that.
Yeah. Have you helped others apply?
We haven't personally done that yet. We have the help of NORCAT and the Innovation Mill for that type of thing.
Okay.
We've been in contact with KPMG and probably eventually Norton Fulbright. So it's something that we're going into. We just haven't quite gotten there yet. But it's something that is definitely down the road for us,
Okay.
is knowing how to do that.
I wondered which one of you was going to law school to be a patent lawyer after this. Okay, thank you.
Most likely him, for the record.
Thank you, gentlemen.
So, okay, so as a service-based company, you guys are doing CAD type work and SolidWorks type stuff.
Mhm.
I heard something about doing 3D printing and stuff like that,
Yep.
and using like NORCAT or Laurentian. Now, you guys don't actually own any of the hardware, so you're reliant on these other background companies or organizations to have those services there, right?
Yep.
Do you have a contingency plan just in case all of a sudden, like if you're starting a company up right now and all of a sudden Laurentian or let's say the Innovation Mill, we don't have 3D printers tomorrow, well, how does that affect you?
We have kept up contact with companies such as Symmetrix, Proto 3000, and 3D printing solutions. There are 3D printing companies that don't do the design work. They do strictly send them a file and they'll print it. It's something we've been trying to avoid because the whole concept is we can give you something start to finish, right? Mm-hmm. But worst case scenario, we have made contacts with them in the event that we need either a 3D print that is a specific material that we can't get either here at Laurentian, which is something that we have run into, or if there is no access to one at the current time.
And also longer term, we think of NORCAT as a fantastic partner, and we will probably always be in contact with them. But it is,
As long as you'll let us.
we are part of the incubator space. So the whole point is to grow our company to a point where we can exit. And at that point, when we have the capital, we have the resources to do it, we will buy our own equipment and eventually go completely solo. That's the idea long term.
I was hoping somebody else was going to ask the question, but being a marketing individual myself, I kind of trying to understand how you are actually going to go out and market your business. And do I understand using the universities throughout the north? Is that what I understood?
The universities and the regional innovation centers, the place is very similar to NORCAT, by offering our services through them. Basically, if we just go out into the community and we say, let us design for you, we already realize what we're going to get back a lot of the time is, yeah, but you're only 21 years old. Why don't I go and hire the people that have been doing it for 25 years? So by having a little bit of extra credentials to back us up, that's the idea. So behind going through avenues such as institutions and RICs, it gives us a little bit more of a credibility when meeting with clients.
There's also a growing community of makers. Basically, we want to reach spaces that are idea dense. Universities and RICs are very much those places. It's where people with ideas congregate. And those are basically pools that we want to access very quickly and spread out from there. So eventually we'll use conventional media. We're very loud on social media right now. But the RICs and the universities are where we intend on starting.
Beyond that, the amount of times you talk to someone and explain what you do, only for them to be like, I have an idea, can we do insert blank here, has been incredible so far. So, as I said, I assume many of you are in entrepreneurial communities, as you know, you're here. How many of you have ideas that should just give you a decent show of the community to make things is there? It's whether or not they have the ability to do so. Yeah. Any further questions?
Okay, gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you very much.